Hi everyone, in this video I'll be going through the coding portion of the practice quiz 3. So you can find this on the quiz 3 webpage, and if you scroll down you see the practice quiz coding question, and when you take the actual quiz, the coding question for that will be right below here. So you will come to this page again to find the actual quiz coding question. So for the practice quiz, what did we need to do? We needed to download snowreport.py. So I'll just go ahead and download that. And then I'll open it up in idle. And we can see that this file has a matplotlib import statement, and then we have 3 lists which contain data about the Bridger Bowl snowfall by year. And we will add in some additional code so that when we run snowreport.py, we produce this plot right here. And so you can see that this has 2 subplots, and it looks like we're plotting the total snowfall in inches in this first plot and the max snowfall in the second plot, and then we're adding a point at the maximum for both of these data sets. So in order to plot subplots, we learned about that in the subplots video here. So if I were to open this up, and maybe I'll just make sure that it's muted, you can see that in this video we will get to a section on subplots, and here we see that the syntax to start working on a subplot is plt.subplot, and then we pass in how many rows our sort of matrix of plots will have, how many columns, and the figure that we currently want to work on. Another way to learn about subplots in Matplotlib is to look at the documentation. And so here is the documentation for the actual subplot call. And just like we said, we pass in the rows, columns, and then the index is which figure we want to work on. And we can see, is there a example? Yes, there are some examples here, and we could click into one of these examples and take a look at the example code. So let's go on over to our code and see what we would do. So let's start off. We know we're going to need to select first figure to work on. And to do that, just like we saw, I'm going to say plt.subplot, and let's just write down we want 2 rows and 1 column, right? So we're going to pass in 2 rows, 1 column, and we want to work on the first figure. Now that we have told Matplotlib that we would like to work on the first figure, we just call plt.plot just like we normally would. So we're going to pass in an x value, a list of x values in this case, a list of y values, and then any other parameters, right? So our x in our first plot is going to be years, our y is going to be total snowfall, and for now, let's not add any other parameters. And then we're going to end by saying plt.show, which will actually show the plot. So we run this, and we do see, this looks good. We are seeing, I believe, the total snowfall trends. Let's just go back to the assignment, and we can see our plot, and that shape does look like the same shape that we are producing, so that is good. Now, just to make sure that we're able to add a second plot in here, I'm going to just put in that second plot, and then we can work on matching the output later. So now I want to select the second figure to work on, and I do that by saying plt.subplot. Again, I need to pass in the same 2 rows and 1 column, and now I'm just going to say 2 because I want to work on the second figure. Here, I want to plot years as my x and largest snowfall as my y, and let's just see how that looks. We'll run that, and we got an error, and that's because this wasn't supposed to be subplot, it was supposed to be plot. So let's run that. And again, we can look at what's our output supposed to be. Well, it looks like we are matching it. So that is good. However, it looks like we need Y labels and an X label in our second plot only. And then we're going to have to get this single point in each one. And then we can also change the colors to match because this blue is not quite the same blue, and who knows what color we're going to get on that point if we don't specify. So I'd say add axis labels. For our first plot, we need to set the Y label to be what? Let's just check on that again. Total snowfall inches. Total snowfall inches. And for our second plot, add axis labels. What do we need to do? We need to set max snowfall inches for the Y label. plt.y label max snowfall inches, and we need to set years as the X label. Let's run this and see how it looks. All right, we got total snowfall, max snowfall, and years. Now, in order to get these points, what we can do is remember that Matplotlib allows us to plot as many data sets on top of one another as we want. So if I did something like plt.plot and I just passed in this same data, but I said that I want it to be circles instead of a line, let's see what happens then. Here we get circles at every point, just drawn right on top of our blue line here. So we're plotting the data twice here using 2 different marker types. However, we don't want markers on all the data points. We only want markers on the max data point. So there are a few different ways we could do this. If we want our solution to be as general as possible, we might do something like max, try to say, find the max snowfall data, max snowfall year, right? And what would we need to do? We need to look into our total snowfall list and find the max. We could do something like max snowfall equals, is max a call on lists? That is, I'm not actually sure. I wonder if I close this, then I can use the shell. I'm just going to double check here. Can I say max on a list? 1, 5, 6 is an example list that I might want to take the max of. and it looks like that works. So I can get the max snowfall, but I actually really need the year that happened in, right? So I need to know that the max snowfall, which is going to turn out to be 388, maybe let's just print it and we'll see that. So we print out 388, but we need to know what index that happened at in order to figure out what year. So I might make a variable like index, and I'm going to say total snowfall. I need to find the index where total snowfall is equal to max snowfall, and so I believe that I can use the .index command. So again, I'm just going to try this out. Suppose I had a list like this, and I called .index, and I passed in 3. I'm hoping that this returns to me 1, because that's the index where the 3 occurs, and it does, so I think that is the correct call, the correct method on this list. So I get the index here, and now what can I do? I can say that I would like to pass in as my X data, max snowfall year is what? It's just years at index, and max snowfall data, I'll say, is total snowfall at index, which is also just max snowfall. I guess we just know max snowfall, so we'll just keep that. So let's try that out. So we're going to pass in our X value, we're going to pass in our Y value, and we're going to keep that circle marker type. And that appears to work. I didn't actually know if we had to pass in a list type object or list-like object like an array or a list, or if we could just pass in one single X and one single Y, but it looks like we can just pass in one single X and one single Y. So now we can do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this code in, I guess I can do it up here. I'm just going to organize my comments here. So before I even start plotting, I'm going to find the max snowfall year, and I'm going to find the max largest snowfall year by saying max, it's kind of the max snowfall, isn't it? The max snowfall, just the same thing. It is the max of the largest snowfall list. Now I'm going to find the index. We'll just call it index 2. And that is what? It is largest snowfall dot index, as in get me the index where max snowfall occurs, and then our max largest snowfall year is what? It's just years at index 2. So now I can add to my second plot. I'll plot the data using plt.plot, where I'm going to plot max largest snowfall year and max snowfall, and to make sure that this is a circle. Let's go ahead and run that. And now I have those circles, and so the last thing that I would want to do is just change the colors on these to be the correct colors. I'm going to try color equals gold, because I believe that's what the color is. Color equals gold. And let's actually just see if this works, because I'm not sure if it works to... Oh, that does seem like it worked, although maybe that's not gold, is it? It's kind of like a green color. But I would say not to worry about it too much. If you're close, then you'd be fine. You would get all the points. So for example, this is a blue color, and that's sort of a yellowish color. So I think you would get all the points for this. But this might be blue, so we could also change our, let's see if changing the color to blue on our lines will be closer to that sample. Oops. Now we run this, and yeah, that looks like the same blue. And if you're close on the colors, you will get full points. So that is the practice question for quiz 2. You can either use plt.show or plt.savefig. As long as your code is producing a plot that looks like this one, you should get full points. All right, thank you, everybody.